Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Morgan. This is my channel Pisces Paperbacks, and today I'm going to be doing another low effort, I'm still in pajamas, chatty situation kind of video. And today I'm going to be doing the DNF tag, which was originally created by Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, which is a husband and wife, Australian husband and wife duo, and they have a channel that I subscribed to a couple months ago and I've really enjoyed so far. So this is just, I think, 9 questions about DNFing, whether I do it, how I do it, etc. And it just seems fun. I found out about this channel through Book Break channel, which is run by Emma from Drinking by My Shelf, who I love, and she did this tag and I just want to be her, so that's why we're doing this. And I guess I will dive right on in. Question number 1 is, do you DNF? And I will say yes, I do, but I kind of don't think of it as DNFing all the time unless I'm a significant amount into the book. There's a lot of audiobooks or I don't know, stuff that I'll pick up and I'll read the first 10 pages, or I'll listen to 20 minutes of the audiobook and I just will be I'm not feeling this, and I'll put it down and I'll decide not to read it. I guess that doesn't happen as often as I think it does, because generally I only pick up stuff that I think I'm gonna really like. So yes, I DNF. I don't DNF very often and I don't usually remember it. Question 2 is, if you DNF a book, does it count towards the books you read for the month? No. I deleted off of my Goodreads shelves. I deleted it from my spreadsheet because if I have it on my reading spreadsheet, it messes up the end of the year numbers, because it will include it in the total book count and the total page count if I keep all that information in. So I honestly just completely delete it, and I'm just even if I've read half of it and I've read 200 pages of a 400-page book, if I decide not to read it, I just completely delete it and I'm well, that was a wash. But I don't count it towards the books I've read that month. I will, if I've read that much of a book, I will probably mention it in a video that I read it and I decided not to finish it, but it's not something that I keep track of on paper. I think that's what I want to say more. Question number 3 is there a difference between a DNF and just putting it down for a bit? Absolutely, 100% there is a difference. So my currently reading shelf on Goodreads has 5 books on it right now. One of the ones is the audiobook I'm actually listening to, which is The Thursday Murder Club. And then there's 4 books that I have been currently reading since last year. And I have one of them right here. Hold on. I started reading The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix last July, I believe. And I'm just about 100 pages in, and this is a book that I'm absolutely going to finish. I'm probably going to restart from the beginning at some point. This is a book that I just put down for a minute because I wasn't in the mood, and I haven't been in the mood again yet, but I'm still definitely going to finish it. Other books like that are, I'm 220 something pages into, fix that lighting there, into Bad Heroines Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth. I'm 200 and something pages into Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky, and I'm halfway through Who Do You Protect, Who Do You Serve, which is a collection of essays, not personal essays, but academic essays about policing and its impact on communities. And those are all books that I have put down for a minute or I'm slowly reading, but I'm definitely going to finish. For me, a DNF is when I actively dislike a book or it's just not doing enough for me to want to keep reading it. So this is a book, it's been almost a year since I picked it up, but I still want to read it, and I liked it while I was reading it. I just haven't gotten back to it. Whereas, for example, last year I started listening to Untamed by Glennon Doyle, or whatever her name was, and I got an hour into that and I was not enjoying that, DNF. Or I was reading Atonement last year and I got 100 pages in, 150 pages in, and I was I'm not enjoying this, DNF. Or I was reading The City in the Middle of the Night last week. I mentioned it in my vlog, and I read 50 pages in that vlog. I read 50 pages and I wasn't disliking it. This is one situation where I wasn't disliking it, but I was honestly just I was over 100 pages in and I felt so decidedly neutral about it. It wasn't worth reading it to me, especially since I went on Goodreads to look at reviews to see if there was, a good ending, because if a book has a good ending that I really like, then even if I have problems with a lot of the rest of the book, the ending will probably push it over the edge and it'll get a higher rating from me because I just really like a good ending. But basically every single person that I follow or am friends with on Goodreads or follow on YouTube who I follow on Goodreads rated it 3 stars, and everybody was basically like, this was fine, it wasn't bad. But nobody that I follow was like, I really loved this, I really enjoyed this. So I was like, it's not worth it for me to finish it if I have to read another 200 pages and I'm like not really vibing with it at all. So I just put that book down. That is a book that I'm DNFing, but it's not for like hate reasons. It's just like, you know, sorry. Question number 4 is, what popular book have you DNF'd? And I like can't think of one. Typically, if there's a popular or hyped up book that I don't think I'm gonna like, or just even in some small way like doesn't appeal to me, I won't pick it up. So typically if there's a really popular book that I've picked up and I've read, I either liked it or I was reading it. Like, for example, A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury. Like, I read those 2 books and I wouldn't have DNF'd them because I didn't like hate them, but I probably wouldn't have picked them up myself if my friend Hannah hadn't told me she really liked them. So like, I don't know. I don't really think I've DNF'd a popular book, or at least I don't remember. Question number 5 is, what is a book you wish you had DNF'd? And I think, honestly, unfortunately, The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. It's an adult horror thing that came out last year, and it got a lot of really good reviews. People that I follow really, really liked it. I just, like, wasn't having a good time reading that book. I don't know why. I think I didn't really like the audiobook. I don't know why. I finished the book by reading it, and I liked reading it better. That was a book that I just wasn't enjoying and I didn't care about, but I don't, like, dislike it. I kind of wish I had DNF'd it because it felt a little bit like a waste of time to me. I don't know. Number 6 is, do you ever reattempt to read a DNF? Has this ever been successful for you? So I haven't really DNF'd that many books. So I've only started reading in 2019 again, like after a several year long break from like reading consistently in any way. And in that time, I really have only like hardcore DNF'd a few books, like maybe 10 books that I can remember, and I honestly can't even remember all of them now because it's something that I don't think of it as DNFing if I just like put a book down after, I don't know, 20 pages because I'm not feeling it, or if I just like decide to not finish listening to it. I don't know. I don't really think about it. So I will say that within the past 3 years, I have not attempted to reread a book that I didn't finish. So no, I haven't ever done it. It's not something that I wouldn't do. Like if I got a really compelling reason to keep reading a book, or if I decided to hate read it for another reason like some other time. So I've never attempted, and it's never been successful for me, but it could be. I'm sure it could be. Number 7 is, what do you do with books you DNF? I return them to the library because I haven't bought them. If I'm really like, I don't know about how I'm going to feel about a book, I return it, or I don't buy it. And then if I bought a book and I'm hating it enough to return it or to put it down, I honestly can't think of what I would do. I think the only books that I've ever bought that I hated were like secondhand romance novels that I bought for like 50 cents from the library 7 years ago. So I don't feel bad about DNFing them, or I'll finish them because I bought them. I'll hate read them, but then it was only 50 cents, so I just keep it forever because like, why not? I have a couple over there. I have a couple books that I like really, really dislike, but I also have a couple that I really, really hated that I finished that I'm keeping because I don't want other people to have access to them, because I don't want other people to have to suffer. So that's what I do. Question number 8 is, do you choose more or less risky titles because of your stance on DNFing books? No, I'm not scared to DNF books, so like I don't worry about picking things up I'm not gonna like, but I also like don't try to pick things up I'm not gonna like, so it doesn't really impact my book selecting process at all, because if I know if I don't like something, I'll just stop reading it. But I also want to like the things that I read, so I still only read the things that I think I'm gonna like. I don't know if that makes any sense. This, I think, has turned into a very, like, circular discussion for me. Maybe not the most interesting thing that I've ever done, but I think it's a really interesting conversation to talk about DNFing, because when people just refuse to DNF, but they can only read one book at a time, per se, let's say, like, does you ever stall out? Like, do you ever get stuck on a book that you really, really hate, but, like, you have to finish it? But then, by the time you finish it, you've just wasted your own time. Like, for me, it's not, like, one of those, like, well, I already put in the effort, so it's probably, like, it's more worth it to keep going situation. So if I'm reading a book and I'm hating my time, I'm just, like, I don't care if it's like, oh, if I spent money and if it was like an expensive book, I'll get an audiobook and I'll like rush through it to like see what happens at the end. But worst comes to worst, you just like, you spend some money on a book you didn't like and it sucks, but give the book to a friend. It can be a gift. Donate it somewhere. I don't know. So I feel like the idea of DNFing being like controversial or like being this thing that not everybody agrees on is just so funny to me, because if you don't like something, why would you finish it? You know what I mean? Although I have seen, I was watching a video, I don't even remember, it's not like a channel that I regularly watch, it just came up on my recommended, and she was talking about like books that she'd recently DNF'd, and one of them that she mentioned, it was a romance novel, and she was like, this book I was actually really liking, but I got halfway through, and we all know how they end, how romance novels end, so I didn't feel any need to finish it. And that is the DNFing that, like, boggles my mind, because it's like, yeah, it's a romance novel. We all know how it's going to end, but you read it anyway, you know? If you like it, why would you stop in the middle just because you know you're gonna like how it ends? Does that make sense to anyone? I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Question number 9 is not a question. It's tag 5 booktube buddies, or however many people you want. I'm gonna tag everybody who watched this video, who wants to do this tag. It was a fun time. I like talking about DNFing because I always think that it's good to, if you're not liking something, you don't have to keep doing it. Like, just stop reading the book you don't like if you think it's weird, unless you have to do it for a review, and then really only DNF if you hate it, because okay, that's another book that I kind of wish I had DNF'd, The Red Point Crux by Morgan Shamey last year. That book sucked. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Let me know in the comments what book you have DNF'd recently, because it's always interesting and it lets me know that I shouldn't read it too. So I'll see you guys next time, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye!